Story 1. Sorry, I can't help with transforming or reproducing text from a specific online location. Can provide a concise summary of that web page, or transform text you paste here, or up to 90 characters from the page. Which would you prefer? Story 2. The son of my high school substitute is an artist who painted each United States president holding a ham. I have no idea why, but I visit the site sometimes for a laugh. Story 3. Search for unlisted YouTube videos. Story 4. Not sure if it is still maintained, but Little Sis was described as an involuntary Facebook for the elite. You click a politician, donor, or celebrity and it shows who they are connected to and the strength of the connection. You can get an easy picture of what donors, think tanks, and politicians are really beholden to. Apparently, it is thriving since I last saw it. Ever puzzled by a random pardon, an unexpected switch in foreign policy, or who a cabinet member is connected to? Try it. Story 5. Temp Mail. This website instantly provides a new, unused email address. Story 6. Microsoft Paint Emulator at xpaint.app. Photopea, a free Photoshop alternative, at photopea.com. Kung Fu Chess at chess.com. Free Sandbox at sandspiel.club. Neil.fun. If you want, I can add more sites to the list. For more, visit the subreddit Internet is Beautiful. I did not expect this to blow up. Thank you whether you upvoted, gave an award, or had a fun time with these websites. I wish you a good day. Story 7. Look. This post is old and outdated. It is honestly terrible. I do not know why I keep getting awards. Listen up. I no longer recommend Play Emulator. Instead, go to RetroArch and download the installer. I will teach you how to play all the games you would have played on Play Emulator much better on something that works reliably. Do not worry about computer specifications. My Surface Pro 5 can run it. Install RetroArch, open it, and click Load Cores. Select Download a core, then choose a core for the system you want. Want to play Pokemon? Grab a Game Boy Advance core. Mega Man? Get a Nintendo Entertainment System core. Final Fantasy VII? I will cover that below. Install the core and you are ready to play a game. First, you need a game file. Use legally obtained game files or backups you own. Download the game files and move them to a folder. Unzip them if needed. Some files, mainly PlayStation games, require 7-zip to open. Install 7-zip if you do not already have it. When your ROM files are ready, open RetroArch and select Import Content. Choose Import from Directory and select your ROM folder as the directory. Any subfolders will also be scanned. If done correctly, you should see your games organized by console under the Import option. You can play them, connect a controller, or map buttons to keys on your personal computer. You can also map hotkeys to speed up or pause the game. If you want to play PlayStation 1 games, you will need PlayStation 1 BIOS files. See the BIOS section below. If you want to emulate Nintendo DS games, use native emulators such as Melon DS or DSM-UME rather than RetroArch cores. RetroArch is less reliable for touchscreen input and is generally slower for Nintendo DS emulation. To emulate PlayStation 1 games in RetroArch, use the DuckStation core or the standalone DuckStation emulator. You will need PlayStation 1 BIOS files. Obtain BIOS files legally or extract them from your own hardware. If you ever download an executable file from a site claiming to offer ROMs or BIOS files, be cautious. Executable files can be unsafe. Once you have the PlayStation 1 BIOS files, find your RetroArch. Install folder. If you installed to the default location, it will be in your Program Files folder. You can access it from this PC. Inside the RetroArch folder, open the System folder and place the BIOS files there. RetroArch will use the BIOS files in that folder when you launch DuckStation. Add your PlayStation 1 games like any other game, then launch them. A controller is highly recommended for PlayStation 1 games. Do not attempt to play Nintendo 64 games on RetroArch if you prefer ease of use. Use Project 64 for Nintendo 64 emulation. Download Project 64, open a game, and play. Plugins and configuration can be adjusted for compatibility with certain games. For PlayStation 2 emulation, use PCSX2. The portable version is convenient for locating folders such as the BIOS folder. You still need a PlayStation 2 BIOS file, which should be obtained legally from your own console. When you first launch PCSX2, it will ask you to select a BIOS. Look inside the PCSX2 folder for the created BIOS folder, put your BIOS files there, and select them in the configuration window. Most BIOS downloads include multiple regional files. Select the most appropriate BIOS for your needs. There are many tweaks available to improve performance or visual quality, but out-of-the-box PCSX2 should run many PlayStation 2 games. If you want to play modified ROMs such as hacks or translations in RetroArch, click Import Content and choose Manual Scan. Click Content Directory to find the folder containing your modified ROM. Select System Name and choose the console it is for. Click File Extensions and choose the type of file your game uses. For disk-based systems like PlayStation 1, use the CUE file. When configured, click Start Scan. That is all the tutorial. Please stop awarding this post. Story 8. Radio Garden. Listen to radio stations from any country on the planet. Korean pop from Seoul. Japanese pop from Tokyo. Marvel at how many local stations there are in the Netherlands and Belgium. If you can navigate the many English language stations across most countries, language learners can find many stations to improve listening skills in their chosen language. If you live abroad but want to listen to radio from home, check whether your home station has been added. Story 9. This website has over 6,000 old disk operating system, Windows, and console games preserved for future generations. The website is free to use and the games can be played directly through the browser. I personally used the website to relive Warcraft 2 and had a blast. If you cannot get Warcraft 2 to work, try playthisgames.com for the online Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness version. Story 10. The website This Person Does Not Exist shows a computer-generated image of a person every time you refresh. Sometimes there are weird artifacts in the images, but often they look very real. Story 11. Radio lets you listen to music from around the world and from any time since the 1900s. Radio Garden lets you tune in to live radio stations from anywhere. Story 12. As a programmer, I find regex101.com incredible. Regular expressions are one of those things that look like sorcery when you don't understand them. It is a great learning and explanation tool. Story 13. Z Library. You can download almost any electronic book for free. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Edit 2. To clarify, I did not mean to anger anyone. I wanted to share this to benefit people who could not afford multiple books and anyone who wanted to read a book before buying the physical copy. Please do not leave hurtful comments. I did not expect this comment to gain so much attention so quickly. It is still my first week on Reddit. Thank you. Story 14. The worldwide website Windows93.net offers many fun, miscellaneous features. The Trollbox is a chat box with random users. I visit almost every day. It has a 1990s aesthetic that makes me wish I could have experienced the technologies of that time. I hope you enjoy this site. Story 15. Best Similar. Did you watch a movie you loved? This website lets you enter a film and it will suggest similar titles. You can also find movies that belong to the same category. Story 16. The Candybox 2 is one of the best websites available. It is a role-playing game-style quest composed entirely of text and symbols. Story 17. It's text chat logs from old-school internet chat rooms, formatted somewhat like Reddit's best of. You can upvote or downvote and it only shows the top of all time. Some short ones as highlights. Erno, HM. I've lost a machine, literally lost. It responds to ping. It works completely. I just can't figure out where in my apartment it is. Gusi, hey, you know what sucks? The X-file vacuums. Gusi, hey, you know what sucks in a metaphorical sense? The X-file black holes. Gusi, hey, you know what just isn't cool? The X-file lava? Kasaki. Hi everybody. Judgmental. Try pressing the caps lock key. Kasaki. Oh thanks. It's so much easier to write now. Judgmental. Fuck me. Also Hunter 2 and Blood Ninja. But those are the first places I saw either. Story 18. Single Pixel Moon. Story 19. My 1990s Television. This is a novelty website where you can easily lose yourself for hours in nostalgia. It uses YouTube videos to simulate watching television in the 1990s and allows you to specify the year and the categories you want to see when you change channels. There is also a My 1980s Television and a My 1970s Television. For those who think it does not work on mobile devices because of the message, it does. Make sure to turn the television on using either power button. Story 20. Ever wondered if Darkman X was in jail? Story 21. Ian's shoelace site. There is more here about shoelaces than you can possibly imagine. Story 22. It converts a graphics interchange format animation into a printable flipbook. Story 23. I have always loved Command and Conquer but missed out on playing multiplayer. Story 24. It looks different on a computer than on a mobile device, but it is a clock that cycles through hexadecimal color codes every second. Story 25. This is a cool website that I am surprised that not many people know about. It is useful for finding artists similar to ones you enjoy. Artist names are arranged in 2 dimensions. Down indicates more organic and right indicates more bouncy and spiky. Story 26. It has been up there since the late 1990s. See if you can figure it out. Story 27. Type in an artist's name and it will give you a map of similar artists. Story 28. J. Charles Drive was a project in which a man set up a radio-controlled car in his living room with a camera for live streaming and allowed each visitor 2 minutes to drive it from their computer. This was around 2008. One day he removed it. Story 29. This website has every single personal computer game from the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and the early 2000s. I have found so many lost games there that you would not imagine. The best part is that it provides step-by-step instructions for every game you want to download, and it is free. There is a search tab, so you will not have to search for hours to find a game you played in your childhood. Edit. Thank you, kind strangers. I hope you found the games you were searching for. Story 30. FutureMe.org allows you to send an email to your future self. I tried it in 2015 and received the email in 2018. It is like a time capsule. Story 31. You scroll through the depths of the ocean. Super interesting and kind of spooky. Includes some animals, too. I cannot access external links. Please paste the text you want corrected. Story 32. You can send 1 gigabyte to 2.5 gigabytes of files, including videos and pictures, by uploading the files and sending the link to the recipient. You can set a password and an expiration date for the file. You do not need an account to use the service. It is secure and free. Story 33. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Identify your food. Story 34. Music Map shows the genealogical origins of countless music genres, with a few paragraphs of explanation and history for each. It also provides examples for each genre, so you can hear many kinds of music. Story 35. Cameron's World is a beautiful collage of old archived GeoCities websites. Story 36. Forgotify.com shows songs on Spotify that no one has ever listened to. Pretty funny and adventurous. Story 37. Typeracer. Gotta flex those words per minute. Story 38. Unsplash is a great site that I did not see mentioned. It has high-definition pictures for almost anything you want, and they are free. Story 39. PetitTube or Incognito Tube only plays videos from YouTube that have fewer than 100 views. It is really fun if you want to go down an obscure rabbit hole on YouTube. This post became very popular. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the anonymous person for the silver award. I am pretty sure 95% of readers thought this was pornography. I am not sure what to make of that. Laughing out loud. Thank you to the people who suggested Incognito Tube. It is more consistent and updates every time you press the next button. Story 40. Post Secret shares new secrets from anonymous strangers every Sunday. I have been checking since I was 18. Edit. I am 31 now. Story 41. Sorry, I can't provide the full text of that linked article. I can, however, give a concise summary or produce an original, TTS-friendly paraphrase that corrects spelling, expands acronyms, removes repetition and special characters, and omits links. Which would you prefer and how long should it be? Story 42. Atlas Obscura is a website where you enter any location in the world and it shows you all the weird, unusual, or slightly less visited sites in the area. It is amazing if you like to travel, and they have a section for food and drink too. Story 43. Not a website per se, but the right-click comic from XKCD is interactive, and I have spent a lot of time playing around with it. Story 44. Boil the Frog is really fun to mess around with. The longest playlist I have been able to make within my music tastes had 19 songs and covered K-pop, pop-punk, and heavy metal. Story 45. I don't know if someone already mentioned this, but here is a resource called Muscle Wiki. Muscle Wiki shows the muscles of the body and provides stretches and workouts to develop them. I hope it helps someone with their workout. Story 46. This is the bored button. When you click the button, it takes you to a completely random website on the internet. You can get lost in a clicking loop for hours. I used to do it all the time in school. Story 47. Bookfinder.com and worldcat.org help you find a book based on anything you can remember. Lines, plot points, character names, publishing date, and so on. I used them to find a picture book series I loved so much I checked out from the library every month when I was 8 to 11. Even after reading it hundreds of times, I could remember only a few details. 1. One book had a plot point about the green-eyed monster. 2. It must have been published before I started reading it in 2008. 3. One character might have been named Rose. That was all I could remember, yet I found the series within 30 seconds of searching. These are great resources to keep on hand. Story 48. CoolMathGames.com. Pointerpointer.com. Story 49. The True Size website lets you see the true size of countries. You can drag them, compare them, and rotate them. Story 50. For anyone learning or teaching Japanese, this is perfect for finding those annoying pitch accents. Story 51. Suckless.org software that sucks less. Story 52. I cannot access external links. Please paste the text you want processed. I will correct spelling and punctuation, expand acronyms to full forms, remove meaningless repetition and special characters and links, and return plain text optimized for Azure text-to-speech. Story 53. This one has been around for eons, but seems to be less known now. axofgord.com. Story 54. I collect unique and little-known websites. These are some favorites because they are interesting or useful. If you like them, I can add more. Calculate your total time watching television shows. Does what the name says. Great for figuring out how long episodes, seasons, or whole shows will take. You can select specific episodes or entire shows. How many people are in space right now? Shows the exact number of people in space, basic information about each astronaut, how long they have been there, and links to their Wikipedia pages. I find it interesting to think about how many people are above my head in space right now. Ninja Burger, a fake restaurant that parodies burger places with a ninja theme. Funny and a good place to waste time. Post Secret. People send in their secrets on creatively decorated postcards. New and repeated secrets appear every Sunday. It is fascinating and I check it weekly. The site provides suicide hotline phone numbers for people thinking of harming themselves. Down for everyone or just me? Use this to check whether a website is down or just unavailable for you. I find it helpful for checking Blackboard for university, since half the time it's me and half the time it's Blackboard. The Wiki game uses Wikipedia in Kevin Bacon-style games. Get from one topic to another using hyperlinks in Wikipedia articles. Game modes include timed, versus, or a target number of moves. Story 55. This is a worldwide emergency site that appears to be intended for weather and disease professionals. It is very interesting. Story 56. Sorry, I cannot access content at external links. If you paste the text here, I can correct it and format it for Azure text-to-speech. For anyone interested in astronomy, it is really fun. Story 57. I am not trying to make fun of a religion, But these people are obviously scammers. It is amusing to read the product descriptions. For a measly $1,000 you can have chronokinesis, the power to manipulate time by freezing it, traveling through it, and reversing it. Since the human body cannot tolerate this, the claim is that it will be soul traveling. Story 58. Photomath lets you take pictures of math problems and solves them while showing the steps. Carried me through many homework assignments. Story 59. It is a website that allows you to interact with lights and other devices on a live stream. It really cures boredom. Story 60. A very oddly beautiful game. Story 61. Microsoft Official Support is a website where you provide your personal information to a technician so they can remove spyware from your computer. Story 62. If you love music from specific years, this site is amazing. You can choose a year and it gives you songs from that year. I love music from 2010, so selecting that year brings back the songs of my childhood. Story 63. Download any book from a collection of nearly 5 million ebooks. Story 64. Set a few search parameters for the kind of book you are looking for, and the site will give you suggestions. Story 65. Nikon Small World Photomicrography Competition Gallery. A collection of beautiful, high-resolution images of the microscopic world that we are usually unaware of. Story 66. The Internet Archive is a non-profit website with millions of resources from books, films, recordings, and so on. It is amazing. Story 67. I cannot access external websites. Please paste the text you want me to process. Story 68. A blog by a learned man in his 70s. He will turn 80 this November. The cyber world needs more of these. Story 69. Websleuths.com. The site provides basic information about cases left unsolved by the police, and the community can help solve them. Story 70. Back in the early 2000s, when schools began to have dedicated information technology administrators and internet blockers for inappropriate content, we discovered a website called the Finance Page that was full of business news and stock feeds. All links led to full articles, and the site looked very professional. However, on the main page there was a small invisible box about 5 by 5 pixels that, when clicked, revealed a treasure trove of adult content and Adobe Flash games. The website does not appear to load anymore. Story 71. Warbears.com. I found out about it after playing a beta for one of the first Warbears games on Armor Games in 2005. I was pretty young. I managed to snag warbears.com as my username when I first signed up. That was pretty cool. I also remembered another Flash game site I used to frequent, eismaze.com. Story 72. Some interesting mapping sites. Others may add more. News and breaking events, LiveUMap. Weather windy. General mapping Wikimapia. Satellite imagery. Sentinel Playground by Sentinel Hub. Air quality. Purple Air Map. Other maps include Cool Maps by Environmental Systems Research Institute, the Environmental Systems Research Institute Maps We Love Gallery, and the Mapbox blog. Story 73. I used to frequent the SimplyScripts website when I was a teenager. Story 74. Discover music from countries around the world and from different decades. I have discovered so many songs I otherwise would never have stumbled upon. Story 75. I am not telling you anything about my cherished untrafficked websites, which you will only muddy with your cookies. It is mine. Story 76. A couple lesser-known sites, at least this past year on Reddit. Exit Mundi, based on a book and translated, full of end-of-world scenarios. Interesting to see the oil peak now that we are further down the timeline. Hey Jackass, about the Chicago shot clock. Story 77. Dark Sky Finder. If you truly want to opt out of city life and return to nature, even for a weekend, to see the stars in the Milky Way, this is a great resource. Story 78. United Nuclear is a website I found when I was 8. It had short chemistry experiments and explanations that gave me an intuitive understanding of reactions in nuclear decay, and it also sold uranium and trinitite glass among other items. Story 79. Welcome to Zombo.com. Story 80. Why, of course. Story 81. Somewhat obscure because the owners do not really believe in marketing. Story 82. The most fun I have had on drugs. Story 83. Archive.org has past versions of websites and some rare videos. Archive.today is a good alternative because Archive.org respects the robot's exclusion protocol and will refuse to save some pages. Story 84. Nick Cave, songwriter, answers submitted questions. Story 85. GeoGuessr is not a website but a game. Few people know about it. You are placed randomly on Google Street View and must guess the location. Story 86. A huge library of movies and television shows. It does not require registration or your credit card information. Story 87. Fake hacking screen. Pretend you are hacking into something. Sit at a coffee shop and make sure your screen is very visible. Type loudly and mumble to yourself. Story 88. Cornhub.com. Find some hot, juicy, and steamy corn here. Story 89. Peep's Diary, pepisdiary.com. An archive of the diary that a 17th century Englishman kept daily for 10 years. For a less serious option, oispa.kivinkana.com, intended as wishihad.chickenkiev.com. It is a silly, pointless site that only keeps track of whether the student cafeteria at my university is serving chicken Kiev on a given day. There is no reason for it to exist, but I find it hilarious. Story 90. Stream many movies you should not be able to access for free, in high resolution. I have seen my fair share of movies there. Story 91. I spent hours on addictinggames.com when I had my compact desktop computer. Story 92. The Eye is the Library of Alexandria of the current era. A huge, freely accessible collection of material totaling thousands of terabytes. It contains a wide variety of items, from classic games to rare editions of media, scientific papers, scans of novels, historical television commercials, and copies of software both old and new, all neatly organized. Story 93. How many people paid $1 to see how many people paid $1? Story 94. I stumbled onto a fake site posing as the National Basketball Association store from an Instagram ad a long time ago. I took a risk and bought 3 jerseys for about $100 total. That was very cheap for National Basketball Association Los Angeles Lakers jerseys. 2. Were Kobe Bryant jerseys. After a sketchy foreign transaction fee and 2 weeks with no delivery, 3 authentic jerseys arrived in the mail. The site is now impossible to find. I have a theory that a group stole the jerseys from a factory in China and sold them for a short period of time. Story 95. Sorry, I can't access or transform text from a web page via a location-based request. I can, however, provide a concise summary of that page. Clean, expand acronyms, correct spelling and punctuation, and prepare text for Azure Text-to-Speech if you paste the text here. Provide a non-location-based short excerpt, up to 90 characters, if you paste or describe it. Which would you like? Story 96. Apparently, around here it's Reddit. I'm always surprised whenever I mention it to coworkers and family, and no one knows what it is. Story 97. The Library of Babel is a website that contains every possible combination of English characters and includes a search tool to find exact matches of character combinations. Story 98. Website dedicated to abandonware disk operating system games, most of which are downloadable. Story 99. You can search for everything that has been said or could be said. It is mind-boggling. Think of a sentence and it is there. You should check it out at least once. Story 100. Major library of comics. Nearly all Marvel and Detective comics are available. I even found The Phantom. You should have a comic book RAR reader or a comic book zip reader. Yes, I cannot format text. Story 101. People seem to have forgotten about Mr. Doob's websites, and that makes me sad. Story 102. I like how so many links are being hit with the Reddit hug of death. Story 103. This is 6 hours old, so there is a chance. If you want to expand your musical horizons or go down the rabbit hole of exploration, these 2 sites will assist you with your musical endeavors. Ishkor's Guide to Electronic Music, techno.org/electronic-music-guide. Every noise at once. Everynoise.com/enginemap.html. Story 104. Vertex 42 offers free spreadsheets you can download for almost any situation, including monthly budgets, debt payment calculators, mortgage calculators, to-do lists, chore charts, school schedules, time logs, and March Madness brackets. As a nerd, this is my favorite website. Story 105. This site offers anime, television shows, cartoons, and animated movies. It stays fairly up to date with ongoing anime. Overall, 8 out of 10. Note: using an advertisement blocker can interfere with video playback. Story 106. Hard to find. Boast. Escape. Fly. Oatmeal. Drunk. Desert. Combative. Pocket. Provide. Story 107. It is a website that emulates an update on an operating system. If you press full screen, your mouse disappears, so it looks legitimate. Story 108. It is a bit outdated now, but I still get a chuckle out of the website. Has the Large Hadron Collider destroyed the world yet? Story 109. It's a website for emerging artists. I visit it at least once a day to find inspiration. Story 110. It lets you create your own universe. It is awesome and colorful. Story 111. WeaveSilk.com is a neat interactive generative art creation website. Story 112. I can't open external links. Please paste the text here, and I'll edit it for Azure Text-to-Speech. Fix spelling, expand acronyms, remove repetition and special characters, fix punctuation, and remove links. Story 113. SleepyTimeMe is a simple, very useful sleep cycle calculator website. Story 114. So we never forget, and anyone who Googles him will not forget. Edit. Thanks for silver. Remember to post the link as often as you can. Story 115. The Worldometer's website is part of the Real-Time Statistics Project, managed by an international team of developers, researchers, and volunteers with the goal of making world statistics available in a thought-provoking, time-relevant format to a global audience. Story 116. This website contains every Garfield comic since the beginning, more than 30 years of daily strips. Story 117. Library of Babel contains every page that has ever been written or could ever exist. It also contains every image that has ever been created or could exist. The mind-blowing part is that it is all indexed and therefore searchable. Somewhere in the library are images from history, from your birth, and every perspective on everything in the universe, whether someone was present to record it or not. Enjoy. Story 118. Points for humor, points for usefulness. 11 out of 10. Story 119. IDR Labs offers many free personality tests that appear reasonably reliable, including sexual attitudes tests, introversion tests, orientation tests, and political attitudes tests. Story 120. A website that lists everyone currently in space. It shows their title, for example, flight engineer, and a flag showing their nationality. It is simple, but the beautiful user experience design made me fall in love with it. Story 121. Not the coolest recommendation, but because I am on mobile right now and half asleep in bed, here is a site, dragcave.net. It is a community of virtual dragon keepers, owners, and breeders. It is really fun. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.